Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome back to Late Night Football because we've been away for a while. It's our first episode of 2022. So, Happy New Year. I know it's already been 14 days of that, but still, belated Happy New Year to those we've not been able to wish. And of course, we've got for our first show, we've got Gaurav back on the show after a while as well. Gaurav, welcome again.
It's really good to be back, Rohit.
Yeah, it's great. We had a couple more people, but I think they're still hungover from the new year, probably. So we don't probably not. That's probably not it. In case you hear my voice is different, it's not a new accent for 2022. I have a bit of a sore throat, which we are both hoping is not COVID, but no more in the next couple of days. Tell you what, I do feel sick watching some of the games that United have been playing this season, but I don't think that's the reason for that. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about this season. Another COVID. Speak of COVID, got another cancellation for this weekend game. But Leicester against Burnley, I believe, has been called off.
It's been.
Yeah.
I
Are you surprised? Another cancellation this week? I mean, it's just part of the Premier League now.
Not really, not much. I mean, I would be surprised if they've reported some false positives like Liverpool. So
It
that
didn't take you
would
long
be a
to chew on
surprise.
that, did it? It wasn't going to take you long to chew on that. Oh my god! Well, where's
But
Ayush
I think
to meet him? Yeah, I know.
but I think it's going to happen every week. For like the next month or so. One of the other games will definitely get cancelled.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that we can look forward to. They could actually set up like a draw for that. It's like a fantasy Premier League thing, like which game is going to get cancelled, odds on which game is going to get cancelled. That could be like something to look forward to as well. And the way it's going,
Yeah,
which one? Yeah, they could do something like that because oh my god, it's a
I
mess.
think a lot of teams are going to have a fixture pile up. After 2 or 3 weeks.
But also along with Fisher Pilot though, Gaurav, it's also an advantage for some teams, right? Because imagine if you get your game postponed from December to now, or even February, and you've been able to bring in new players that you can then play in those games. It is an advantage, maybe not for the big teams so much, but for the mid-table clubs or the smaller clubs like United or Brighton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace. For them, it's an advantage if you can get a player in January and then be able to play them in fixtures that were rescheduled.
Yeah, it's definitely just. I think, as you said, top teams are, I think it's more of a disadvantage because I would rather have points on the board, than
Mhm.
have pending game played,
Yeah.
especially with the fixture pile up and one injury. Like, if Liverpool, Salah and Mane come back from AFCON and one of them gets injured, then, it could be disaster for them. But yeah, for smaller clubs, especially fighting for the relegation, like Newcastle, and
Mhm.
they are going to make some signings, definitely. They already did.
Yeah,
And
they've
I think
done two players already, with more to
right
come.
more than more to
Yeah.
come, so definitely that could be an advantage for them.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Newcastle. Yeah, but there's a subtle troll by me on Manchester United. But I think at this point, we'll talk about them a bit later on. But yeah, this one, I don't think it's very far the mark. But we'll talk about Manchester City against Chelsea. That's the big game. And that's the first game of the weekend as well. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised when you have the biggest game of the weekend at the first game because, it doesn't really set the tone. I mean, you feel like the last game, that's the one you want to wait. But anyway, that's how the fixtures are propped up. Gaurav, if City win this one, my feeling is that if they win this one and they should win this one, then I think that's it for the title race this season. I think I don't see I don't see anybody then like I mean I feel like City have already won it, but maybe there's hope for Chelsea they can beat them. But do you feel the same assessment as well that they beat Chelsea, the title is theirs?
I don't want to jinx it, but I think you're right. Like, we've already played most of the big
Yeah.
teams away from home. That's an
Yeah,
advantage.
yeah.
But you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Especially some of our players are still out with COVID, and there has been rumors that two players have also been diagnosed yesterday. So we don't know who's going to play.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't have about jinxing. Nishikant is probably doing that as we speak. He's not. Yeah, he was one of the people not on the show, but yeah, it would be nice to get a feeling for that. But yeah, I mean, they've been very good this season. The Manchester City. I almost sometimes feel like they've won it by virtue of not having as many players out with COVID as some of the other teams. But I feel that has helped them at least in terms of not being disruptive. But they've been very good this season. I think we have to acknowledge that as much as it pains me to say it, and as much as it pleasures you to say it. That's probably not the right word, but as much as it brings joy, they've been very good this season. And I it's incredible with Chelsea though because did you expect more from Chelsea? I mean, they are technically in a title race. I think they're third right now. Did you expect more from them, maybe to be a little bit closer to the top, if not the top of the league?
I definitely did. I mean, like they are the champions of Europe, so
Mhm.
definitely. Plus, they signed Lukaku and they sound Saul as well. I think from Atletico.
Saul, yeah, Saul. Well, it was a
Saul, yeah.
loan, but
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a loan, but I actually
Mhm.
thought he was a good enough player. So but
We all
they have
did.
underperformed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have underperformed, especially in the last 5, 6 game weeks or so.
Mhm.
And City winning 12 on the trot hasn't helped them. To be honest.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think with City, it's more of like, we have had injury issues. De Bruyne was out for some time, Foden was out, and Rodri was out. So definitely we had some issues. Mendes in jail, basically. So, but the thing
Yeah.
is, one or the other players has stepped up. When
Yeah.
KDB was out, Bernardo was, really, really good form.
I think it's those not having those injuries in clusters, right? When you have one player, two player out, you can kind of cope. If you're Manchester City or even Liverpool or Chelsea for that matter, you probably can cope with one or two. But having that cluster of like 10 players not being available or 5 players not being available, 10 probably is too much, but 5 players not being available, maybe that kind of makes a difference. Maybe I'm not saying that is the sole reason. I think City probably would have won it anyway with the kind of form that they're in. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think just having that that not happen to them. And of course, to win a league title, you need to have luck. I think that is something that every team does need, no matter whether you're Manchester City or Leicester City, you need luck to win the title. So that's just part of the game. So they've had that as well. I think it's been fantastic. I mean, let's talk about this game though. What would do you know? To be honest, I can't even think of team news because I don't even know who's in and who's out because we have no idea who's got COVID. They don't tell us until the day of the game, so we don't even know who's going to play and who's not going to play. It's difficult to think of tactics. But what do you think Thomas Tuchel can tell his players going into this game? Because they have a fairly decent record against City. They have won a few games, a few big games as well, one in particular. But then they got
definitely.
outplayed in the last one. When they met in the league, the City completely outplayed them. So I think Tuchel's message will be to Chelsea going into this one.
I think he definitely has to tell the players that they have to play for a win. Like, I mean, if they have any chance, if they have any hope of competing for the title, even a draw would be a good result for City, I would say. So he definitely has to tell them to go for the win, and especially with Pep said in his conference yesterday that like 2 other players are out, and City basically don't tell before the team sheet is out and who's injured and who's down with COVID. They have a policy of not releasing the names,
Yeah,
so that could be an issue for Tuchel as well. I mean, he doesn't know what formation and what players are going to play, but
yeah.
he definitely has to go for a win.
Yeah. I mean, well, I mean, I think we know the formation that City will play. It'll probably be a 4-3-3 false nine. It's just a question of who's going to play it where.
Yeah,
I think with City, obviously talking the they won't have Riyad Mahrez. We know for sure they won't have him because he's away for AFCON. Um,
yeah,
it's interesting with Phil Foden having stepped up. And I've been reading a lot about him. This is a guy, by the way. Actually, I know many people have been following his career for a long time. I saw him actually at a reserve, not a reserve game, at a preseason game, a long time ago, 4 years ago, probably now, 4 years ago. And I thought that guy is special, and he has been special. He's someone. Is he now on that verge of being like not necessarily? I think he's already a first 11 player, but is he now on the verge of being at the same level, probably as maybe in terms of importance, maybe not in terms of ability, but probably in the same level of importance as a say a Leroy Sané was or Raheem Sterling is. Is he there, or is he probably is he at that level now that you would say that he needs to be starting every game, or at least be in consideration to start every game?
I think it definitely is. It definitely is. And he had that incident along with Grealish that they partied somewhere or something that probably upset Pep Guardiola. But I think it's definitely is. He could be the second or third choice on the first team sheet after Rodri and Bernardo because of the kind of form they.
De Bruyne.
And
Yeah.
yeah, De Bruyne is fit, but I sometimes feel like we play better without De Bruyne and the team. I get
Oh,
this feeling that if we have Gundogan and Bernardo playing in that midfield, along with Rodri, kind of balances more. I think they suit each other, they complement each other well.
so
So
you would drop De Bruyne for this one?
it's a tough choice, not really. He's a
I
match
mean, we
winner,
don't even know.
and
Maybe he has COVID, but yeah, if not, would you
yeah,
drop him?
but you don't know if with Mahrez out, Bernardo could be starting out wide and KDB in the middle. So it's
Hmm.
going to be a surprise selection for Pep, I think, and
Yeah.
we are going
Yeah.
to be surprised with who
Yeah. I think.
starts.
Yeah. Final question for you. Do you see Grealish starting this one?
Very
Again, all
difficult.
things
Very difficult.
permitting that he's fit. I have to keep the guy at as long assuming he's fit because I don't even know. But yeah, and do you see him starting if he's fit?
I don't think so. I don't think so because Sterling has come back into his form. He has been scoring goals. He has been creating chances. So I don't see him getting dropped. And if Foden is fit, then he will most probably start on the left wing with Bernardo on the right.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
don't see
Okay.
any place for him in the team.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and there's an interesting one for you as well. Perspective. Jadon Sancho, 75 million pounds. Obviously, not been so good, but he's been playing recently. Jack Grealish, 100 million pounds, doesn't even get in the starting lineup. And yet, nobody talks because when you're in a winning team, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. Nobody bats an eye. So that's how it goes. But with that said, Gaurav, what's your prediction for this one?
I think it will be 1-1 draw.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
You said you don't want to jinx it, but then yeah, you kind of won a little bit
No,
there.
not really, because I think a couple of first-team players will not be playing because of COVID, and there has been rumors that both Foden and Grealish have COVID as well, and one of Sterling was actually in isolation, so you don't know who's going to start. So could be a KG affair with draw at the end.
Yeah, I'm okay. One on draw. I think City will win it, but it won't be same. I think they'll probably win 2-1. Say 2-1 to City. That's I think what I feel. I don't think it'll be a walkover. But yeah, I think City. I think Chelsea just have too many injuries and COVID issues to go contend with as well. So yeah, I just have a feeling that'll be 2-1 to
City.
to City. Yeah, that's what I think. We haven't even spoken about Lukaku actually, which is interesting. I don't know. Yes, a player who has become very. Yeah, I mean, I think he's been another one of the underdeveloping players as well. It's funny how all the big signings have kind of flopped this season.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe there's a lesson there for people to get. But anyway, we'll move on. We'll talk about speaking about moving on. We'll talk about let's talk about we've got a couple of teams that I do actually want to talk about. So start with Newcastle, Gaurav, because I mean they made a couple of signings. A lot of people are wondering why they signed Chris Wood. And besides the obvious reason why they signed him from Burnley, because it helps them in their relegation fight.
Relegation. Yeah.
The tactical reason probably is that Kieran Trippier can put in crosses, and then you've got somebody who can head them in, because obviously Joe Linton, is not someone who can do that. He's a striker who doesn't score goals. And then you really got no one else. So do you see tactically that as being a good signing, just from a tactical point of view, or do you see it as, well, we'll just take whoever we can get, and if it happens to be from one of our relegation rivals, that's all the better?
I think honestly, I think that's signing for the sake of signing someone. I mean, is it going to improve their team drastically? I mean, Trippier is a good signing. I think for their level, he's a good player. I think he's a decent mid-table player. It could be, but I don't see what it's really improving their team right now. So basically, when a takeover happens, you sign anyone who's available right now. I'm surprised that they haven't signed anyone from Arsenal, because that's what usually happens. City signed Adebayor and all. So,
I think that will happen in the next phase. I think once they can secure their place in the team in the front table, in mid table or whatever, or just 17th or 16th, then I think in the summer we might see more signings. By the way, they did sign Joe Willock before the takeover happened, so they did sign one Arsenal player. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. I think the next 4 months, I think for Newcastle will be critical. Just in terms of where they get with terms of signing and that. They're actually not that far, even though they are 17th at the moment. They actually they're not that far from the other teams, because if you look at it right now, they played 2 games more than Burnley, but they're only 2 points off of Watford. They played 1 more game than Watford, but they're only 2 points off of them. Do you see them surviving relegation? I guess is obviously the money question is that, isn't it? Can they survive relegation? Do you see them surviving?
I think they will in the end. I mean, it's going to be a very close cause. A lot of teams at similar points, and none of them are in a good form, or like they seem like they would be improved. So I think they have a chance. Norwich is definitely going down. I have a feeling it could be Burnley and Watford.
That's really, let's say the 4 teams, because Leeds are then 6 points above Watford. So they might have done just about enough to give themselves a little bit of space between them and the others. And they actually, Newcastle are playing Watford this weekend. So that is a chance for them to, get out of the bottom 3. If they win that game, they could be out of the bottom 3. So yeah, that will be an important game for them. Yeah, I have a feeling they will escape relegation. I think they will, because not just because of the fact that they're obviously not that good, but I feel like there are three teams that are worse than them, and sometimes that's enough. You don't need to be the 17th best team. Sometimes you just need to be the fourth worst. And that's enough. So yeah, I think I feel that Newcastle might survive. Everton, another team that would like to talk about as well. Actually, before Everton, sorry, Burnley. Is your time done? I mean, I can see you're wearing a little bit of a version of a claret t-shirt actually, without the white with black. But yeah, Burnley, their time done. You think in the Premier League this season?
I think so. I think so. I think they've survived the playing with parking the bus, and they had some good defenders, and their first defense was already. I mean, well, most of the seasons their defense was really good, but they haven't found out, I would say, and I
Mhm.
think their time is up.
Yeah, looks like it. And I think, yeah, and they survived longer than anyone thought they would. They even managed a
Yeah,
European campaign, only 2 games, but
yeah.
managed a European campaign. So some good memories to take back. But yeah, I feel the time is done. They don't have a lot of money, and it doesn't look like they're going to spend that wood money. I don't know what they're going to do with that. So we'll see. We'll know more, I guess, in the next 2 weeks.
COVID COVID situation hasn't helped many of the clubs as well. I think.
Yeah, but they have a lot of games in hand, Burnley. Actually, that's one thing. They do have 2 games in hand over Newcastle. They have a game in hand over Watford. So they do have games in hand. But the question is really, who are they playing against? When are they going to play those games? What they're going to do? It's just yeah, there's too much uncertainty at the moment with that. So we don't know. And then Everton, Gaurav, another team that. I mean, I honestly expected them to be in a relegation battle this season. So the fact that they're not in probably is an improvement in some ways. But it's a team that I mean, they've now lost Luca Dean as well, another promising left back that they've lost. It's just a team. They feel like a team that are treading water. Like they can almost feel like Newcastle pre-takeover in some ways, because they were like you don't know what to expect from them. Like, do you expect them to be competing for European spots? Do you expect them to be competing for relegation? This just feels like a little bit of a treading water situation.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I honestly think I mean, I thought they would be finishing in the top 10 at first, but this has been a really surprise to me. And as you said, Digne is gone as well. And I'm quite surprised that none of the top clubs went after him, because I think he's a good enough player, at least good enough backup left back. But I would say, yeah, they're. I mean, they don't know what they should be competing for, right? I mean, their ambition was good a couple of seasons back. So they were at least fighting for the European places, I think. But
Yeah.
it has gone downhill for
Yeah,
them completely.
yeah. And I mean, Ancelotti walked away after just one season, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden, yeah, the saw some decent players also. James Rodriguez went away. And maybe some of the players are probably a little bit disillusioned as well that the player manager they came to play for is no longer there. But yeah, I mean, Rafael Benitez is not so bad, but I think maybe he's past his peak as a manager. He had one.
yeah.
But yeah, that's another difficult one. Speaking of mid-table clubs, we'll talk about Aston Villa against Manchester United. And no, I'm not talking. And the mid-table club I'm talking about is probably not Aston Villa at this point. I don't know if you watched the game against in the FA Cup, to be honest, Gaurav, but I did, and you didn't watch it, and that's fine. I mean, it's okay. It's not one. No way. It's not one worth watching, to be honest. But it just, I mean, let's start with Villa at least first. Two new signings that are going to be coming in. I think Gerrard has already confirmed that they will probably be start. They are in contention to start. Luca
Yeah.
Dean and Philippe Coutinho. Are you excited for those two players to be coming to? Well, I mean, Coutinho going back to the league after a while, Digne and a new club. Excited to see what they can do.
I definitely am. If Coutinho finds even 50, 60% of his form when he was at Liverpool, I think he could be a really good player, and he could be the Grealish replacement for the team. And I've always liked Digne. I've always liked Digne. I think he has been a pretty good, I mean, solid left back. He's not really a good defender, but as an attacking asset, he's really, really good. Plus, he's a great set piece taker as well. So I think both of them will improve their team. And I think Aston Villa right now, I mean, from next season at least, they could be fighting for the top 6 spots.
Yeah. Yes, possible. I mean, Gerrard, was fighting for the titles and European spots with Rangers and also Rangers, but still he was fighting for that. I don't think he would want to leave that and then be involved in relegation scraps. So I'm sure that there was some talks there with Gerrard about that. So yeah, they look a very good team as well. They still have Jacob Ramsey, who's very good. Douglas Luiz looks pretty nice as well. Emiliano Martinez, probably one of the best goalkeepers outside the top 6.
Yeah.
When we say top six, but yeah, probably he is, a very good player, a good goalkeeper outside of that as well. So they have the makings of a decent team. The thing you mentioned about Coutinho being like Grealish, I mean, the one thing with Grealish was that he always played on the wings. I don't think Coutinho is comfortable playing on the wings. I think if he has to play, he has to play as a number 10 to really be
Yeah.
effective, right? And I think that's something that Gerrard will have to accommodate for to try and find a spot for him in
Yeah,
those
I think it could be
positions.
between him and Buendia, fighting for that number 10 spot.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Buendia as well. Yeah. So yes, we had a lot of Buendia fans who wanted.
Alex.
Yes, yes. I had a fan, but yeah, unfortunately that didn't work out. But I don't think he's too upset about that
Yeah.
not happening. Right. Let's start on Manchester United, the other team. I mean, it's still early days. But what do you make of Ralph Rangnick's win so far at Man United?
I honestly think he hasn't been given enough time. Like he has been only here for like 2 or 3 weeks right now,
About a
and it
month. It's been a little
about a
bit more
month.
than a
Yeah,
month. Yeah.
but his style of play is completely different. So it will definitely take time for players to adjust to his methods and all.
Hmm.
But the thing is whether he will get that time or not, or he
Yeah.
could be moving into that back staff role at the end of the
Hmm.
season. So right now, he's more of a makeshift manager,
Yeah.
and
It's
don't see him improving the team. I mean, current team, United,
yeah.
what they have.
Yeah, I don't think this team. I think this team has a ceiling, and I think they've reached that. And I don't see the thing is when he was signed, I immediately pointed this out as well that they probably have maybe 3 or 4 players that can fit the style that he wants to play, and one of them doesn't even play at all. Starting
Yeah,
Van de Beek, he still doesn't play.
Van de Beek, yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk about Danny Van de Beek in a bit, but he doesn't even play. So he's probably got maybe 2 or 3 players in that first team who can probably play. Maybe Varane, maybe Sancho, and then at a pinch, maybe Dalo can do it as well. I haven't seen enough of him, so I don't know. But maybe those 3 are the only ones who can kind of play the style he wants to play. With everybody else, it's like trying to figure out what he wants to do with them. There's obviously talk of squad unrest, player unrest. I don't know whether that's what's happening there. It's just I think it's and this is the start of something where it's just basically holding pattern where they're trying to do something but they don't know what they want to do. So well, let's get him in and then we'll try and figure it out. Are you surprised though that there's thought that there's probably not going to be any January signings? I know you're a City fan, so I mean, January signings don't really mean much because City probably just spend 200 million pounds in the summer and then you don't have any money left over, right? I'm just kidding. But yes, the City generally don't do January signings. I can't remember
Yeah,
the last time they did January signing. I think
Laporte, Laporte,
Laporte was the last
Laporte.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was in the Centuria season.
Yeah. This was, I think, 5 days after he said that we don't have money to go to for the Sanchez deal, and then he goes and pays breaks the transfer record for Laporte. I mean, just pep things. But anyway, but they don't do January signings. But are you surprised United have not done one? That midfield really needs something in there. And there's some cheap options available, but just don't seem to be interested in doing a deal.
I think maybe the board is thinking, the the kind of team that United have right now. I don't think any player who could improve the team is available right now. Maybe you could sign someone for squad depth, but you don't know whether the manager is going to stay at the end of the season. So
Mhm.
ideally, I wouldn't be spending the money right now as well. Like I would rather save that money for the start of the next season because I don't think United are going to finish in the top four. They could be finishing out of top four, and I think
They could be.
most
I think
probably
they
they don't
will.
want.
Yeah, I don't. I
Yeah,
don't think there's a could be there. No, but
yeah.
I'm
So
not talking about spending say 50 million on the Ruben Neves. I think that's unrealistic to expect anyway. But there are
it's not worth it
midfielders.
as well. I think.
I'm sorry.
I don't think it's worth it as well.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's not. But I'm just saying, like Ruben Neves, you probably would have to spend 50 million to get him anyway. But in January, if you were to buy him, but there's Sakari is available for 5 million. I think there's some other players that are available on the cheap as well. Hadar, I think, has a release clause. I think some 20 million or something. So those are relatively cheaper options. And to be honest, I don't know if you've seen United play this season, but any midfielder that you sign is going to be an upgrade on what they already have because they have nothing. So it just baffles me. But if they do sign a midfielder, there is an outside chance that they could compete for top four because they really need a good midfielder. But I mean, it's just the reluctance. I don't know. Maybe it's money, it's saving money. Maybe it's something else. I don't know what it is. But yeah, it's just surprising that they haven't gone for that. But I do understand your perspective as well. We don't know if Ralph is going to be here. So do you want to buy players that suit his style, but maybe not the next manager? And that sometimes creates a bit of a
and you don't even know who's the next manager going to be. So
No, I think Ralph knows who he wants. My theory is that I think he knows who he wants, and if he doesn't get them, he's going to say, "Let me stay on for another year, and then we'll look again next year to see what we get." But I just feel like I have a feeling he knows who he wants, and whether the board agrees or not, I don't know. We don't know what happens with them. They're pretty, whack jobs there that work above United's board. So I don't know whether they agree with that. But I think his idea is probably that he's got one or two managers that he has in mind. And if he doesn't get them, he'll probably say, let me stay on for the year. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Midfield and the only question, Gaurav, midfield, Scott McTominay is suspended. He's not going to be available. John McGinn is also missing for Villa. So maybe there's an option. Maybe Gerrard can go attacking, play Buendia and Coutinho together. I don't know. Maybe he might want to.
Buendia is out for AFCON, right?
Oh, no. He played in the FA Cup. No, he's here.
Okay.
He's here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's from Africa.
Okay.
He's Argentinian, if I'm not mistaken. So Buendia is there. But yeah, that might be an option to play two of them, but we'll see what he does there. With regards to Scott McTominay, do you think, and this is the $1 million question, do you think Rangnick will say, Donny, this is your moment, play, show me what you can do, or is he going to go, Matic, you're up? What do you think is going to happen? That's $1 million. I mean, you could probably do a betting service for that one and make lots of money trying to figure out whether Donny's going to start a game or not.
I think when the pick is going to start, and he should definitely be starting. I mean, there has been enough underperforming players, and he hasn't been given a chance. I mean, he has played a game or two here and there, but you need 3-4 games, back to back to get the rhythm and to get that form to get that feel of the team, but he hasn't really got it. So he should definitely be starting, and I think he will get the chance this time around.
Yeah, and that's the hope, isn't it? I do have some faith and encouragement, but I don't know what's going to happen with him. But there's lots of other things as well. Ronaldo might be unavailable, but Ralph has said that he should be fit in time to play. So we will see. And then, of course, the centre back, Varane will start, but who will partner him? Will it be Phil Jones? Will it be Harry Maguire? Will it be Lindelof? Tell you what, Phil Jones is right now the best option out of those three. He seems like the best option. Anyway, I don't know who's going to start, but we're not going to play that. Gaurav, what do you think is going to be the score for that one?
Score?
Yeah.
Prediction?
Yeah.
I think could be, 1 United, 2 Villa. Villa win.
Villa win tonight, 2-0, right?
Yeah.
2-1. 2-1. Yeah, I feel it might be 2-0. It could be if Maguire is starting on Varane. I think Villa will win 3-0, and that's just what will happen because Maguire totally does not fit what Rangnick wants to play. Absolutely not. So I think he just struggles there. So I think Villa will win 3-0 if they play.
I think he's short of confidence as well. Like if you look at him, it feels like it looks like he's feeling low.
Yeah, and I think and I also think he's been asked to do things that he doesn't want to do, like play a high line, make those passes. He doesn't want to do those things, but he's trying to, and he's not good at them. Obviously, that's why he doesn't want to do them. But
basically a little bit slow, so you can't play high line with a slow defense.
Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. I might have to delve into that once they lose. But I feel Villa will win 3-0 if he plays, which I think he will. But if he doesn't play, I think maybe they'll lose only 2-0. I think that's, or maybe it'll be a 3-1. I think, but Villa will win because I feel Gerrard is going to be up for it. I mean, Liverpool, Man United rivalry. He'll want to create memories there. Villa will have the new player bounce as well. They've got 2 new players coming out. It's going to be an exciting atmosphere. So I think Villa will win this one. But yeah, we'll see what the score will be. I think 3-0 or 3-1. That's my prediction. We move on to Liverpool against Brentford, another big game. What are the what's the over under on Liverpool? And after the Arsenal game, was the over under on Liverpool wanting this one postponed? Do you think they'll try to do it again? Positive? No.
Yeah, they'll probably report 5 false positives tomorrow, and the game will get postponed.
Yeah. Well, they can't report false positives. They have to report them as positives and then false positives. Do you think? And I know this is a controversial question. Do you think that it was Liverpool did that deliberately? And by deliberately, I don't mean. I mean, maybe it was not deliberate, but do you think they had a hand in? And do you think that was a deliberate false positive test, or do you think that just happened to happen to go that way? Just your opinion. I know this might be slander, but try to be as diplomatic as you can without getting in trouble. Yeah.
No, I honestly don't think it was like they cheated their way through it. I think with COVID, I know you get a lot of false positive case reports. So that is something that can happen. But I mean, but the thing was that like they reported like 11 false positives, right? 11 or
13
12,
out of 14.
13, 13. So that is very rare. So like,
Mm-hmm.
the doubt comes in the mind that how can you report 13 false positives? But with COVID, you never know. You never know what the result will be. So
Yeah. So if anybody who watched at the start and then left at that time, they won't know that you just said something complimentary about Liverpool's thing. So yeah, that's a thing to watch till the end probably. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, to be honest. I asked you that because I wanted to put you on the spot. I have no idea why, how it happened or why it happened. I don't think Liverpool needed to do that. So it's possible that it was an error. It might have been a clerical error. It might have been something as well. You never know with these things. But I don't think. I mean, it makes sense if it was a City game, but I think against Arsenal or even Brentford, I don't think they need to worry too much about that. At least, not saying that they're bad teams or easy wins, but it's not necessarily the kind of thing that you have to take too much precautions about. But talking about that, they missing Salah Mane, Gaurav, because they had a 0-0 draw against Arsenal. Really, I mean, it's a surprise that they drew 0-0. The good news for them is that they don't have a lot of league games. They only have two, this one and then the next one. But I mean, is that a sign of concern for Klopp that if something happens to either of them or both of them, they might be in trouble for the rest of the season?
I've always said this, like, if one of Mane, Salah, or even when Dijk gets injured, then they don't have a proper backup option. So they're always going to struggle. And I think whatever backup options they have, Benamino and Jota, right now they have like Firmino,
Origi.
Jota, and
Yeah.
Origi. Like Origi has been a plus player in some games. He has scored some really good great goals at times, but I don't think they're the same thing without Salah and Mane.
Yeah. No, I mean, to be honest, anybody will feel the loss of Mo Salah. I think probably that it's
Yeah,
not an
yeah.
irreplaceable player. I think Origi is one of those that he does well when he comes off the bench and not necessarily as good when he
Starts.
starts. It's one of those. He's one of those super sub type players. Minamino, do you think this is his last season for Liverpool? Do you think he needs to leave? I feel he's one of those players who's not at that level. I think he was signed because he was cheap, but I don't think he's at the level to play for Liverpool. I don't know what your take on that would be.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jota has had more impact, and they kind of expected that from Minamino, but he wasn't at their level. And he was signed from Bundesliga, right?
No, from
No,
Salzburg.
it was Salzburg,
Well,
right? Yeah,
Bundesliga, but
Austria.
Austrian Bundesliga.
Oh, just yeah. So you know, players in that league could, they could look really good, but they struggle
Mhm.
to pick a league. So I think his time is up. He could be moved next season
Yeah, I think he did spend a bit of last season on loan as well.
at loan,
No,
right?
yeah, so yeah, maybe one of those players who need to move on, I guess. But
Yeah,
we'll see what happens and who do they replace him with. There is a certain free agent available in the market. If they're looking for one. I don't think he'll be happy being a backup, but maybe they can sign him. I don't know. Yeah, there's that's an interesting one. Anyway, well, what do you think? Liverpool Brentford? I mean, what do you think is gonna be the score?
I mean, I watched Brentford against City, and I thought they were really good. So I, I mean, I expect a draw. Especially with Salah and Mane out, and Brentford are a good team. Like, they're kind of like Leeds from last season.
Mhm.
So I think the Liverpool will drop points.
Yeah, well, the first meeting within them was a 3-3 draw. Very
Yeah,
entertaining one as well. So yeah, you never know. I think Liverpool will win, but only because they'll have a point to prove. I think Klopp will have a point to prove, and I think he'll send his players out. It's always you don't want to be the team playing Liverpool or City after they've drawn or lost a game, because then that's a
yeah,
problem because you come
definitely.
back with a vengeance. So
Yeah,
you ideally want to play them after they've had a big win, because then they might be a little bit complacent. So I think Liverpool will win this one. Not maybe it won't be comfortable, won't be easy. I think it'll be a 2-1 win for Liverpool, but I think they'll win it. I just feel that Klopp will work his magic and he'll get that result. Whether they will beat Arsenal next week, now that's a big question. I don't think Klopp cares too much, but I think that's the big question of whether they'll be able to beat them. But yeah, I think this Brentford game they should win it 2-1. That's my prediction. And speaking of London. We don't know if this match is going to happen yet. Let's talk about COVID cases and all that. But Tottenham against Arsenal, the North London derby, that's how we bookend it. So yeah, we do start with the big game and we end with the big game in some ways. Gaurav, it's two teams that are fighting for top four. I don't think we expected that maybe 2 or 3 months ago that these two teams are fighting for top four, but they are. They're in a they are the ones that one of those teams is going to miss out on top four. And are you, I guess, are you surprised that Spurs have got Conte in the first place, and then Arteta has turned it around as well? It's two managers that are going head to head. It's I mean, yeah. Are you surprised that it's these two teams fighting for top four? Are you like, well, that's to be expected?
To be honest, I'm not really surprised with Arsenal. I always thought that they will come good after some games. I know Arteta he's in his early days, but he's going to be a good manager in the future. I think
There's no
he's going to
bias
be.
there. Yeah, there's no bias there.
Yeah.
Because of City connections, there's no bias.
I actually see him managing City after when
I
Pep
think so
leaves.
too. Yeah.
Maybe if he does well. Yeah.
Well, City have a
So
history of poaching players from Arsenal, so why not coaches, right? So yeah, why not?
yeah. So basically, we have Vieira and Arteta who are
Mhm.
expected to replace Pep. When he leaves, there has
Yeah.
been rumors around. Both of them Arsenal players. But honestly, I'm not really surprised. Arsenal are there. I always knew United are going to struggle. They didn't have a balanced team. So it was for me. It was City, Liverpool, and Chelsea for top three, and the fourth place was always open for grabs.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit surprised with Spurs. I think they were going to struggle, especially with all the Kane incident. Like he wanted to leave, and I knew he wasn't going to give his 100%. When you mind not at the club, don't really perform at that level.
Yeah.
But they have signed Conte, and he is a good manager. And
Mm-hmm.
there has been news floating around from last couple of days that he could be leaving if he doesn't Levi doesn't
Yeah.
give some money to spend. So
Yeah.
bit
Absolutely.
surprised with Spurs, but not really with Arsenal.
Yeah. I mean, it's that's what Conte was signed, because I don't think he's going to sit there accepting the players that he has. He definitely wants new players. Are you surprised he didn't sign Luca Dean? I mean, they need a left back. I mean, Doherty looked absolutely all at sea in the against Chelsea. Are you surprised they didn't make a play for him? £25 million seemed like a decent deal to do.
Yeah, you never really. Problem is you never really do. I think City offering £600 million for Kane was a really good deal for them. He could have
Hmm.
used that money to build a team around Son and all the players, and he could have signed Conte at the start of the season, I think. But you never really know with Levi who is going to
Yeah.
spend the money on.
Mhm.
That's an issue.
Yeah, well, the Conte rejected Spurs, right? In the start, because he said they were not going. They wanted Nuno because they thought they would not have to spend a lot of money. They didn't want to spend a lot of money, but then now they have to spend. But anyway, we'll know what the Spurs do in the transfer market. That's a separate question. Come to this game. Arsenal will be obviously happy with the fact that they got that draw against Liverpool. Fans will probably be happy that Xhaka is not playing in this one, so there's chance of a red card. Partey is not available. How do you see that midfield configuration now for Arsenal for this game?
I think it would be Smith Rowe
Yeah.
and who is the backup option? I
So
mean,
they've Albert
Party
Sambi
knows.
Lokonga, or they
Yeah,
would
look
have
on.
El Neni, I guess, one of those two options. And yeah,
I think the problem is both Xhaka
El Neni, yeah.
and
El
Xhaka is out,
Neni.
right, with the red card.
Yeah, Xhaka's out
Yeah,
with the
so
red card for sure. Yeah, he's not going to play.
so
So yeah,
yeah.
they've got to find someone to play in that midfield. So I think the options are El Neni, and then they've got Sambi
Maybe Smith
Lokonga.
Rowe and
Yeah,
Lokonga, and
Lukonga,
if they're
and yeah, or they might want to go for the new guy. I forget his name. Patini, I think Patini or something. Yeah, the guy who scored a goal in the League Cup. But he's not played. It's probably too big a game for him to start. But Patino or Patini, I think he's got a name like that. Some Italian sounding name. But yeah, maybe that's an option if they want to go down that road. Yeah, because they don't have Partey, sadly, because he's away on what do you call it?
F1.
Yeah, he's away on AFCON. So yeah, so he's not
F1.
available. So yeah, I mean it's hard to know who's going to play, but yeah, Charlie Patino, but he actually plays more as a forward than a midfielder, so he's not the guy that I was talking about. Yeah, so the options are probably Sambi Lokonga, El Neni, or yeah, that's pretty much it actually. Unless they want to move Callum Chambers into midfield, maybe he can play there, maybe. But yeah, are you surprised with their defense though? I mean, we all talked about. I mean, that Arsenal defense is probably. I mean, I don't want to say it's one of the best, but it's a surprising one that it actually works so well. As a unit.
Yeah, I think if like one of them has a brain fart movement, only then they're going to struggle. I think they play really good as a team. They complement each other, and I think Party has played his part this season as well. He's has been protecting the back line. So yeah, it looks I mean, it doesn't look solid on the paper, but they have been performing really good.
Yeah. I think just on that midfield note, it might be a three of Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and Lokonga, maybe, or El Nene. I think that might be the three that they go. Not Lokonga,
And
maybe El Nene. It's probably that will
that's
be
what I
their
was
three.
thinking as well.
Yeah, that probably will be their three, and then they'll fit around Martinelli, Saka, and whoever plays a striker. But like I said, yeah, because Aubameyang probably is never going to play again. I don't know if he's going to play again
Yeah.
for Arsenal, but yeah, I think that probably will be.
Abba must be out for AFCON, right?
Well, I know he was. Well, yeah, he is on technically on AFCON, yeah, right now. That's true, actually. Yeah, but he did have COVID as well as soon as he landed, so he's anyway not even playing in
Yeah,
AFCON
he
right now.
partied somewhere. I read it. He partied, but
Yeah,
he's
this
back
they went
somewhere.
Dubai. I think, yeah, Dubai or Egypt or Morocco. I'm not sure, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of funny how players immediately go to party as soon as they're released from their club duties. It's yeah, I mean, no, I don't know. Yeah, and we are here in lockdown waiting for things to open. Right? So how the world is different. Speaking of Spurs, I mean, it's difficult to know what team will start because he keeps stopping and changing. But I mean, Doherty started in the last game. Is it time for Ryan Sessegnon? Ryan Sessegnon, by the way, is a player we spoke about so often when he was at Fulham, and all of a sudden he kind of just disappeared off the radar. It's like we don't even know where what has happened to him. Do you think this is now his moment to grab and make that left wing back spot his own at the club? He almost seems like a forgotten man. Not just in Spurs, but just in English football in general. Seems like a forgotten man.
Yeah, I think he's kind of like Patrick Roberts for City. He was.
Something uh, to look at, yeah, for that. Let's do score predictions then. Gaurav, what do you think is going to be the score?
I think it will be a 3-1 to Arsenal.
Arsenal, yeah. I don't think it 3-1, but I think it'll be 1-0 or 2-1. Because I don't think Arsenal do 3 goals. They don't score goals, but what they do is they defend well. So I think maybe 1-0 or 2-1 to Arsenal. I do think Arsenal defense has enough to keep Spurs out. I definitely think that. And the only question is, do they have the goals to go with that? They might. So yeah, I think it'll be 2-1 to Arsenal. That's my prediction. Maybe 1-0, because Arteta seems to like the scoreline. So yeah, I think that will be. But yeah, probably will be an Arsenal win. A final question then for you, Gaurav. We got Arsenal, we got Spurs, we got West Ham. Maybe at a pinch you can add Wolves into that top four race. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe. Who do you think is going to make it out of those four? Who do you think is going to take that fourth, fifth, and sixth spot? Let's say the seventh one, because nobody really cares about Conference League. But fourth, fifth, sixth, who do you think is going to finish there?
I think Arsenal are going to finish at the fourth spot.
Fourth and
We'll be
Arsenal
back, and then
back
we'll have,
again.
yeah,
It's
we'll have
like
fourth
a
spot.
romantic comedy story, isn't it? Like a romantic story after a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe Spurs fifth and West Ham sixth. I mean, it could be between West Ham and United. You never know.
Well, West Ham are United. West Ham United.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah, West Ham or Manchester United. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel with Manchester United, I don't think they will even finish top 7. To be honest, I think at the moment, I fail to see where the points are coming from. To be honest, yeah, it's unbelievable. Maybe things will change, but yeah, I just have a feeling. I feel West Ham. The only thing that might affect West Ham is the Europa League run and how they cope with that. But they have an easy one against Leeds. Probably should win that one. But anyway, who's Gaurav? I don't know if you do fantasy Premier League, and I don't, but I know a lot of people do. If you had to pick one player to put in your fantasy Premier League team, who do you think? Who do you think is a sure pick? That should be there.
Very difficult question because most of the top teams are playing each other, and Salah and Mane are out. So I honestly don't even know who's in my starting 11 right now.
Oh, well, you do play, okay.
But yeah, so it could be surprising, one of from Aston Villa.
Yeah, just make a pick.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe Coutinho.
Coutinho. That's an interesting one. Pick Coutinho. Maybe he might be cheaper as well because he's a new player. You might get that.
He's available for 7 million, I think.
7 million, yeah. 7 million, not, yeah. But yeah, Coutinho seems like a decent choice, decent shout. I would say, I mean, the thing is, I pick is not going to do well. So, because West Ham are playing Leeds, so it's a safe bet that you could probably pick someone from West Ham. But I don't want to get them in trouble. Liverpool are playing Brentford. Maybe pick someone from, maybe pick someone from Manchester City. Why not? Let's do it this way. Pick Joao Cancelo. You can't go wrong with Joao Cancelo. Seems to score, seems to assist, and he's a defender, so you get bonus points when he does that. Pick Joao Cancelo. Yeah, that's my pick. And now hopefully he will have a bad game. He probably won't be the one mentioned that. No, he will probably have a great game. He's only going to do very well. But yeah, that'll be my pick, Joao Cancelo. See, Gaurav is very sly. He doesn't pick Manchester City players because that's the important rule about Fantasy Premier League. Never pick players from your own club. And you should never
Yeah,
do that.
definitely.
That is the golden rule. Whatever you do, just remember that. Anyway, thank you so much, Gaurav, for joining me on the show. It's a pleasure to have you. And it's always great to talk to you and get your opinion on things. So thank you so much for joining the show.
It's good, just good to be back, right?
Yeah, it is. It is good to be back. Hopefully, we'll be back with more. Hopefully, we'll do a review show after this is all over. I don't know, maybe as long as my throat is not something serious, and we're just hoping that it's not. But yeah, I think it's been better as it's gone along, so it's definitely helped. So thank you so much.
I think even if it's COVID, it will be gone in like 2 or 3 days.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And it's good we're doing this online, so you won't be exposed. So at least we're fine. But yes, thank you so much, Gaurav, and thank you so much to all of you who watched this show. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do share your. I just got so low there. But anyway, please do share your comments and to remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're new, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the games this weekend. What do you think is going to happen? And do you think Liverpool doctored those tests? That's the word I was looking for. Doctor. Did Liverpool doctor those tests? God doesn't think so. I don't think so. But what do you think? Do you think that happened? Let us know in the comment section. Enjoy the games. All the best. All the best, Gaurav, to your team as well. Hope you have a good game tomorrow. The good thing for you is that your game is tomorrow, so at least whatever happens, if you have won, then you have the whole weekend to relax and chill. That is an advantage of an early kickoff in that way. Yeah, and if you lose, then your whole weekend is ruined. But that doesn't happen often.
Well, basically, I'm stuck at home, because of the weekend lockdown. So whatever happens, I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, same here. But anyway, all right, take care, guys. Have a good day or night, whatever time you're watching this. And we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.